I think I need to put this out there that I don't want to, I mean, Zahra and I, we've made this promise between us where we don't just say this is wrong and that's it. We always try to come up with a solution as well. Right? So that's why, for example, on our YouTube channel, when we told people don't just read the Quran and don't understand, we put so many videos of how we think one could benefit more from the Quran.
You're giving solutions.
Exactly. So I want to put that out there, that it's not just like we're saying without any. On du'as we've made videos, on hadiths we're making videos. But the problem is that we try to do that, right? Like with every hadith that we put out there on our Instagram channel, right? If people look at it, they'll see that every hadith there is practical, is applicable, and it has points that you can take right away and do it in your life. But even now, it's not like this is the only way that people put out hadiths there. Even up to now, I see people who still put a hadith that says, don't be angry. I'm like, what's the point of that? Everyone knows that. Tell people how not to be angry. And so see, this is partially is due to the people who are doing the work of religion, and unfortunately now a lot of it is not even the scholars. Like sometimes I see for example on Instagram, a lot of people who are creating religious content with beautiful intentions, but they have no background. Right? It's a Muslim who cannot make other TikToks. They're like, okay, let's make religious TikToks, and they end up making things like, okay, 7 benefits of astaghfirullah. First, God will forgive your sins. 2, He will give you money. 3, He will give you children. I'm like, this is not how you deal with the hadith, right? It's not like if I say astaghfirullah, then the next day I may be vomiting or be like, oh, am I getting pregnant? Or, you know,
hopefully that's not happening, Sheikh.
Yeah, no one should be worried about that, right? So but I'm saying, so yes, we are trying to put the right way out there, but still there are so many people who have not waken up to the fact that you got to treat your religion very seriously, right? We have to let go of this hadith fetish that people have. One of the scholars I was speaking to, he said someone's father passed away and they contacted the scholar and said, can you tell me a hadith that people should be sad when someone passes away? I'm like, you don't need a hadith for that. You know, like, what are you doing? You're disrespecting the imam. You know, he's not a flower you put on it. These are important people. If we believe their teachings are there to change our life, change the world, then take it seriously. And people should expect that. If someone says, oh, the imam said don't be angry, you'd be like, Sheikh, now we knew that. Tell us how. Yeah. Tell us how not to be angry.
That's the problem.
Right?
People don't even, like, I feel like it's kind of taboo for you to even ask questions. Like, we all should have questions. For example, something doesn't make sense to us, we should ask. We should feel comfortable with the sheikh or whoever is giving for content. We should ask them, and I think that's the only way really that you can really make things more meaningful to you, more meaningful in your life. We don't do that. That's the problem. We don't ask questions. We don't think. We just accept it. We see videos. Yeah, okay, no, I should be a good person. I should do this, that. Well,
yeah, and I'm hoping, inshallah, we can slowly. We need to, I think, do 2 things at the same time. Raise our expectations of what religious content is shared. So if someone just says something like, I don't know, even things as simple as this. If you pray like this, it will get answered. Oh, it's not as easy as that. Don't make people promises. Right? If you pray in this place, people just speak. Not think, oh, what if it doesn't work? You know, what if the person does that and their prayer is not answered? What if you tell person, or, so we need to raise the expectations of what kind of religious content we're sharing. Another day I was watching on Facebook, someone said, if you listen to music, it's like you're slapping Imam Ali, astaghfirullah. I'm like, mate, we have Maraja who allow music. That is some music. What you're saying that there is what if we have a youth in the community who's listening to music and they've got a great relationship with Imam Ali? You're ruining that now. What is this? Think before talking. So one is raise the expectation so that the religious content which is shared is thought about, and at the same time people really need to start taking themselves seriously, right? People think that they don't have a say or they should be happy with anything they receive, and this needs to change. Like Imam Hussein in Dua Arafah is very serious about this, that you as a human being, you have a say, right? Even we have this in the Quran. Ayatollah Beheshti has a book, very interesting, God in the Quran. There he says that on the day of judgment, you don't get to say that I did this because that scholar told me, or this is my community the way it did. He said every single person is individually responsible to do the right thing. Of course, as part of that, you may need to, in certain areas especially, follow, definitely. But in many areas, especially when it comes to, for example, your beliefs, etc., you are individually responsible. And so, if someone tells you that pray, or do salat, and you've been praying for 20 years and it doesn't change your life, well, go back and say, I'm so sorry. You said, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha wal munkar.
I'm still doing fahsha.
I'm doing fahsha regularly. And not that I want it, but it's not helping me. It's not helping me. I said, you know how many people we have say, oh, we want to let go of the fahsha, but we can't. Quran says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Either, na'udhu billah, Quran is not correct, or we need to find a way to do it.
Wrong.
Yeah. And so go and have these expectations. You know, one of the scholars was saying, if you go to a doctor and you've got a terrible headache and he gives you a pill and says, this pill will take care of the headache. You go home, you're trying it for a week, it's not working. You go back and say, this pill is not helping. But I don't know why when it comes to religion, the person tells you, for example, prayer will help you get rid of your bad intentions, bad desires. You tried for 20 years, it's not working. You don't go back and say, what changes for me? Okay, so if people raise their expectations, know that, and the reason why we're not raising our expectations is that we think this is it, you know. At the end of the day, most of us in our heart, prayer, you do you pray, but it's not going to have that much impact. And so I don't know if you've seen this or not. Like sometimes when you go to people's houses, let's say for Ramadan or etc., people are like, oh, let's pray, get it out of the way so we can have fun tonight. You know? So what does that show us? It means that we have all kind of subconsciously accepted that prayer is not that of a big deal anyway. I mean, you have to do it because God will get angry if you don't. But, well, this is wrong. This is a community who's completely given up on its religion, but is just not willing to let the last step go. Right? But you can figure these things out, have expectations, right? I was listening to, there was a debate in Iran between two scholars. One of them was saying that God is more forgiving that you're making it sound. The other one was saying, no, God is as angry as we make him sound. And then anyway, so the debate finished. The other scholar, the one who was like, God is more angry, afterwards gave a lecture to explain further his point. And he said that, see, if God will forgive those who don't pray on the day of judgment, then this is unfair to those of us who have prayed. And everyone was like, Takbir, wow, beautiful, great point. What they don't realize is that this is the most awful point you could make. You could not have disrespected prayer more than this. Because what you're technically saying is that God, this prayer did nothing good for me. I did it for 20, 30 years. It was painful. It was terrible. I had to wake up. It didn't add anything to me. And I did all of this. And now this guy who didn't do anything is going to the same place as me. Would anyone say that with gym? Imagine if you'd gone 10 years to the gym, looked great, had these muscles, everything, and then someone didn't go. Would you say, God, if that person goes to heaven, it's unfair to me? No, mate, you look great in this world, right? You look great. You benefited from it. You were healthy. So that just shows you didn't enjoy even one of your prayers. If it's that difficult that you want to get the cost from someone else, you're taxing someone else, right? It means you never enjoyed it. And no one else would say that. In no other field will say that. Yeah, it just shows that we're not enjoying it. It's a burden. When religion becomes a burden, the religion that Prophet said, my Baba, it's a rahmah. I brought this as a mercy. It's meant to help your life. But now people are like, oh, I wish Prophet hadn't told us prayer. Then, oh my God, life would have been so much easier. And I get them, because the one you do right now is really a burden. It doesn't make you any better. It's just like you have to, like so much struggle, honestly, without the... Yeah.
It's perspectives. I see, you mentioned this great first point about,
which one? They were all great.
Yeah, no, of course, alhamdulillah. But the point about, the scholar Sheikh Said that mentioned, it's not fair that God places me with someone who hasn't prayed. And like you said, people did takbir, and if someone like me heard this, I would have said that's a good point. But what you've just done is you've changed the perspective of looking, and you've given a new look to the actual salah, because I always say with salah, because Umar ibn Sa'd prayed salah, yet Umar ibn Sa'd killed the imam of his time, and we don't want to be the people that will see the imam of our time but not be able to recognize him, because Umar did see the imam of his time. Shimr saw the imam of his time, he just didn't recognize that was the imam. And that's my sort of simple opinion on that. And from my understanding, we're now sort of doing prayer to just sort of get it out of the way,
check the list,
and it's all become sort of a checklist.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas we have loads of hadiths, and it's even in the Quran, who said that just by praying you're sorted, right? You mentioned the most important examples. We've had people who prayed, their Quran were much better than us. Some of them had done Hajj way more than us, but still they did all of what they did. Why? Because see, prayer is a technology. It has to come within you, change certain things within you, right? Lady Fatima says, right, yeah, God gave us, for example, prayer tanzihan anil kibr. So it has a function, right? If it comes and doesn't do that, then and we've got so many hadiths from the Prophet that you could pray and get farther from God, right? Or we have even hadiths from Imam Ali that people pray, worship, but it's like day to night, but they don't get anywhere. We have from another Imam that says people pray for 20 years, 30 years is useless. These kind of beautiful teachings, which is in our religion, we just don't bring it. Why? Because someone at some point told us that, see, prayer could be sahih. If you just, masalan, your recitation is nice, your clothes is tall, that's it. Either God will accept or not. What is this?
Yeah.
The hadith is telling me I could be praying and getting farther from God. You're telling me, no, don't worry. Just do your translation right. Get your clothes tahir. That's it. You're fine. And these, shifts in perspectives are so important. Why? Because one thing I don't doubt about our community and us is that we all have great intentions, most of us. So I'm sure even the person who prays, they're not doing it because they're bad. They're amazing people. But if we don't fix our perspectives, we may end up disrespecting our religion, carrying so much burden and then scoring own goals. So I remember a while ago on my Instagram, I posted a text from a Christian theologian about the relation between a person who has repented to God and God has forgiven them. So it's a very powerful line, and it really shows that after a person feels like God has forgiven them, how much energy they get now to go and change themselves, become better. Someone leaves a comment that, why are you posting from Christian theologians? I said, brother, do you accept with what it said or not? Like, do you think? He said, no, this is not in line with our Islamic spirituality. I mentioned 4 or 5 lines from Imam Sajjad, Imam Sadiq, Imam Ali alayhi salam. And I said, no, we have very similar things, right? And he said, no, this is the interesting part. I want everyone to pay attention to. I don't know which camera is getting me, if you're listening later on through audio, I want you to move a little bit closer. But I mean, that's technically impossible, because if you put headphones on, you've got nothing to go closer to. But internally, come closer. See, the person tells me, Sheikh, don't give me theologians from other religions. I want teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. Maybe if the thing stopped at this point, everyone, the Shias, would get up and clap for him. MashaAllah, he wants the Shia pure material. Yeah. Well done, only the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. I'm like, you can't seriously mean this. It sounds nice. It sounds like you're respecting the Ahl al-Bayt, but at the bottom of it, it shows that you have never given them serious attention. Because who can be serious about the Shia teachings and not come across tens of hadiths that from Imam Ali, from Imam Sajjad, from all the Imams that say, go and seek wisdom wherever it is. If wisdom, for example, it's in a different place, we'll go and get it. We don't look at who's saying it. Look at what's being said.
From the Quran itself.
Even in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلَ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. So don't tell me that I only want the teachings of Ahl Bayt, when with the teachings of Ahl Bayt saying, go and seek wisdom wherever it is.